Welcome in. Good afternoon. It's the Ticket Punchers here on 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. I'm your host, Roman Kelly, joined today by my co-host, Curtis Phillips, Mr. Philly Picks, as we take you down till 6 o'clock, as we do per usual here, Tuesday through Friday on the Big X. Missing our other co-host, J.R. Anderson, as he is still on his work trip. He'll be back in tomorrow on the show, so we're missing him still today, but we'll have him back tomorrow. But we will still have JR's picks for you guys and his official punches as well. Philly, Thursday, we've got Thursday Night Football on. It's Friday, Junior. How are you feeling this Thursday? What are you looking forward to here on your weekend as we are approaching it slowly but surely?
Yeah, going good, man. As we've already, spoken this week, not the best Thursday night football game, but hopefully you and I can find some little edges in this football game and get on to the weekend slate. But yeah, I'm feeling good, man.
I'm feeling great. It's Thursday Night Football, but like Philly mentioned, it's not the best matchup tonight. We've got the Falcons and we've got the Buccaneers. Buccaneers team who has dropped some games this year. They have not looked kind of how we thought they would look at this point in the season. When that offense was high-flying earlier in the year, all of those receivers were kind of eaten up. They had the best offense or the best passing offense in the NFL for like 3 weeks. And all of that's kind of come crumbling a bit just because of the injuries and different things they've had to endure down there in Tampa Bay. But I do like a bounce-back spot for them here this week. We're going to get into some punches on that. But let's recap last night's bets first, Philly. We had some official punches. We also had our triple punch parlay as well. Let's go into to your punches before that. What'd you have last night, Philly, and how'd we do?
Yep, not so good last night. We do go 1-3. Our only punch that we won was that Purdue minus 19.5. But yeah, we go 0-3 in the NBA. Wasn't D-Book got ruled out. That kind of ruined some props there in that Thunder Suns game. So Suns go
to
lose by 50 points there, and Lakers and Spurs game kind of going a little unexpectedly. Spurs getting the double-digit dub over the Lakers, so we don't cash any of our legs there. We had Mark Williams over 18.5 points and rebounds. That was a miss. Austin Reeves, he goes over that assist mark for the first time with, him, LeBron, and Luka in. And then Fox, it was kind of the castle show for the Spurs. So
it was.
Fox, he tried to get to the point. I know you had the points. He finished just short, right at 20 of that. I had the points and assists, but yeah.
We kept it close enough there at the end where I thought Fox might get it. He was kind of not playing ISO ball, but he was getting downhill. They were kind of mismatch hunting there at the end. That's what you do when you have a lead in a closer game, especially on the road. You go out there and try to value each possession. And they were doing that. He was up to that 17 mark. Then he got to the 20 mark. And I'm thinking, well, there's enough time, but he ultimately doesn't get over that 22.5 for us. And neither does J-Dub, partially because of how that game started to go so south for the Suns early that the starters for the Thunder don't have to play their normal minutes per game. On top of that, they're not playing with the same intensity that they would if it was a closer game, not attacking the basket at will and things of that nature. J-Dub, we had him for over 18.5. He finishes right at 15 points in a game in which they were up 40 for a good portion of it, or up 35 for a good portion of it. So we do go 0-2 last night in the official punches. That's all right. We don't hit the triple punch either because of the Mark Williams play, unfortunately. But It's all good. We're going to bounce back tonight. We're going to get that triple punch out tonight as well. And we've got college basketball to look into on top of NBA with this slate for Thursday Night Football. So that's kind of what we're going to get into tonight. I want to ask you first about Thursday Night Football. We're not going to give any punches out yet. We're just going to discuss it a bit here, Philly. I mean, the Buccaneers coming in at 7-6. The Falcons coming into this game at 4-9. The Bucs are out, I believe. The Bucs they're not. They still lead the division over the Panthers at 7-6 because I believe they have the tiebreaker over them right now. I'm excited to see what happens in the South Division just because it seems like the Panthers or Bucs could win it. If the Falcons win this game tonight, the Panthers are going to win the division if they can get a win in their next game. So it's stacking up. It's interesting how the NFC, I feel like it's a toss-up between each of the top two teams in every division. I don't except the Eagles. The Eagles at this point kind of know that they don't have to worry about the Cowboys. Bears, Packers, I feel like can go either way. Bucks, Panthers, I think can go either way. It shouldn't. And then Rams, Seahawks obviously could go either way. The AFC or the NFC, Philly it's filthy. It's filthy this year with how much parity they've got. Do you think that the Bucks they've got to be coming into this game like this is kind of like our last hope to ensure we're in the spot we need to be in, right?
Yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily a must-win, although they do want to obviously win this game. But ultimately, I think it will come down to, the Bucks play the Panthers twice in the last 3 weeks, so that's ultimately going to decide, who wins that division, when they play straight up.
That's right. They haven't played yet. They have 2 at the late season on their schedule.
Yeah, but they would love to obviously still win this game. So. But yeah, the NFC, it's shaking up pretty crazy. Honestly, I think also with the North and the West, I believe it's a battle with 3 teams, honestly. I don't think Lions get in. I don't think they ultimately get the NFC North champs this year, but they're going to be in the conversation, I think, come week 17, week 18. And I think the Niners, I believe they're only a game and a half, maybe 2 games back of the Rams, so they're still in conversation for that number 1 as well. But yeah, the NFC is shaking up pretty crazy this year.
It is. And then you've got the AFC. It's not as bad in the AFC. The AFC South is interesting because you've got the Jaguars, Texans, and Colts all seeming like they could potentially maybe make it out there if the Colts need a win this Sunday to make that possible. Phillip Rivers plus 600 on the money line there. They've got like a 20% chance to win that game I saw. I don't know how that one's going to look for them. Broncos have already beat the Chiefs once. So, I'm pretty much the Chiefs they're not going to get in. They're not out yet, but they're not getting in, I don't think. But yeah, the Falcons are already out. So we know it's Panthers, Buccaneers tonight. That's why it's interesting that the Bucs need a win. They probably want to win, but like Philly mentioned, they're not out of it if they lose this game because of what's ahead with the 2 matchups against the Panthers. Do you think that is a factor at all tonight in this game? The fact that it's not as important as some of the other games they've got coming ahead?
I think it's still, at the top of their minds, even though players and coaches might not say it is. But yeah, I believe Panthers play your Saints this weekend, just a small favorite. So yeah, 2 divisional games in the NFC South. So, it's going to be close, but yeah, like I said, those 2 matchups between the Panthers, that's really what's gonna decide it. But Bucks, they're getting a few people healthy back this weekend that may give them a spark, offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it goes.
A lot of questionable players on the injury report for both sides in this game. I do believe like Drake London's out in this game. There's a couple of defensive players out for the Falcons, a couple of offensive players out for the Buccaneers on top of some safety. So this is one of those interesting games where the Bucs, if you're not fully healthy in this game as a player, you're maybe thinking like, hey, I'm not trying to go all out or even play if I don't have to in this one, if you're potentially trying to get back for a game that they've got ahead. If they get a win here, they're obviously, like we mentioned, looking ahead to the Panthers in their next game after this one tonight, Dolphins, and then Panthers again. And those 2 Panthers games in the eyes of the Buccaneers are probably more so must-wins more than this Falcons game. With that all being said, Philly, I still like the Bucs to get a win tonight. I think with the injuries that the Falcons are dealing with, I mean, it's the Bijan show for them, and that's about it. If you can shut Bijan down from going crazy, having one of those, insane triple-digit rushing yards kind of a game, maybe a touchdown or two, now he's allowing them to stay in that game. If you're not converting on the other side, that could get ugly for the Bucs. But with that being said, I don't trust this Falcons offense to go and do a whole lot outside of Bijan Robinson. What's your take on how the offense is going to look for the Falcons tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. There's not much offense there outside of, Bijan. Kirk Cousins hasn't really gave them the spark that they've needed to. But I do like the connection that him and Kyle Pitts have. Maybe they can work something out in this game. I mean, that'll be to be seen. But yeah, this Falcons team just hasn't done much without Penix out there. And really, even when Penix was in, they wasn't doing a whole lot anyways too. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Bucs ultimately get the job done. I don't know if they cover. Maybe I do think this will be a low scoring game. Not much offense on either side, even with some of the depleted defenses. But yeah, I don't think Falcons get a whole lot done offensively.
I don't either. Obviously, Kirk hasn't been anything special this season. And then without your go-to guy in Drake London, you're limited offensively in the passing game. Granted, Kyle Pitts has been one of the better tight ends in the league this season. Sets a couple really great games for what the passing offense has been for the circumstances of the Falcons. But with that being said, give me the Bucs tonight, and I'm on the under. Matt Childress, producer and co-host for the Running with Roman show from 2 to 2:30. That was his big bet of the day on the under. I told him I was rocking with him on the under as well. These aren't official punches, but these are just kind of where I'm leaning tonight is on the Bucs spread at -5.5. If I'm being honest, Philly, I'm going to go take the 3.5 or maybe even the 2.5, just because those ugly low-scoring games, they do kind of scare me, because I think this is technically a bigger spread on what is maybe projected to be an ugly game. I'm maybe going to look at the Tampa Bay. I'm saying maybe. I've been potentially thinking about the Tampa Bay team total in this game as well. I think that Mike Evans back. You got Egbuka out there. Tampa Bay looking to bounce back from their last game. I mean, let's go see what we can find it at here, where the best potential odds for it are, Philly. But the Tampa Bay team total can't be much lower than, or much higher than, like 22.5 points tonight. Maybe taking a look at the over if it's like in that 19 to 20 range.
24.5.
24.5. Okay, that's a bit high.
That is.
That's a bit high. If there was at like 20.5, I was maybe feeling it. Kind of knew that was probably going to be over 21.5 with the total sitting at 43.5. But nevertheless, I'm still on the Tampa Bay Bucs tonight to get the 3 to win by that kind of in that 4 range. They are sitting at -275 on the money line tonight as well. Do you have any player prop official punches in this game for tonight, Philly?
Yeah, I have one in this game, and it's the receiver you just mentioned, Mike Evans. I'm going to take him under 3.5 receptions. I know he's went over this, I believe, every game that he's, fully been healthy.
Yeah.
But I just think he's probably going to be on a snap count. You saw in his first game back versus the Lions, he re-injured, that hammy, after he was out for about 3 games. So I think the Bucs are going to, and it's a short week, I think Bucs are going to just try to ease them in. Chris Godwin, he's been pretty good for them. And Jalen McMillan, he comes back as well. I think there's just going to be a lot of, the ball is going to have to be shared in a lot of different places today. You'll have 3 running backs in the backfield that'll, be getting snaps regularly. And
Irving is back as
White
well.
And Tucker. Baker's been using his legs a lot more lately as well. And then he honestly hasn't looked that healthy in the passing game after his shoulder injury. You saw, him and Ibuka was not connecting, last week. I believe he had like 7-8 targets, only 2 catches. So Baker hasn't been that accurate since after the shoulder injury as well. And I just don't think the Bucs are going to have to pass a whole lot in this game. So yeah, with all those reasons, I'm going to take Evans to not get 4 catches today. So yeah, that'll be one of my official punches for the Thursday night football game.
You're messing me up just a bit here, Philly, because while I definitely agree with the takes on those, I do think that because the ball's getting shared with their full healthy receivers out there again, they got one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the NFL in terms of guys that can play at a high level and the quarterback has a connection with. Like you mentioned, obviously, a couple of those guys getting back, McMillan, Godwin, and stuff. I had him for 40 plus on my Big X Big Bet of the day. He's covered this in all three, in two of his three games this season. The one game he didn't cover this in was the New York Jets, September 21st, I believe, in which he got hurt. Like you said, got hurt in Detroit. That was October 20th. He didn't, what was it, first quarter? Like in the beginning of that game, he got hurt, I believe.
Yeah, it's first or second quarter. I can't remember which, but yeah.
And yes, like you mentioned, over 3.5 receptions has covered in the 3 games he's played in, not counting the Detroit game in which he didn't really play. The 40 yards is covered in his first 2 games, ATL, Houston, and then not covered against the Jets. The 51 yards against the Houston is kind of where my mind went. I was like, okay, he's not going to be the go-to guy tonight. But I think with him coming back, being eased in a 3 to 4 kind of reception mark, I do like him to get to that 40-yard mark. But that was a Big X Big Bet. I'm not going to make that an official punch. We're going with Bucky Irving tonight on the official punch for the 60-plus rushing yards. For the reason that you just said there, Philly, I really don't think that they're going to have to throw the ball all that much, the Bucs. And Bucky has covered the 60 mark in like 4 straight games leading up into the loss against my Saints, where he was getting shut up down the middle. They weren't allowing a lot of runs down the middle. He was getting some few things out to the outside. He's going to get bounced back tonight. I think that they're going to probably put an emphasis on the run game tonight. I like him to get over that 60-yard mark. You can catch that at minus 102 right now, so it's not really far off from what his rushing line is at. I want to see what the exact over-under is sitting at.
It was slightly above there, I believe.
57.5. He's at 57.5, so he's gone down a bit, partially because of Rachaad White also playing and Baker Mayfield having been someone that's prone to using his feet some this season. I think with the injuries that they've got on the Falcons defensive side, I like Bucky Irving in this spot. Like I said, he had gone over this mark in 4 straight games before the loss against the Saints, in which he had 55 yards on 15 carries, so he was right there. I like him to get to the 60 tonight, get back on track from what we've seen had him earlier this season, and get back to making those fantasy points that he has been so well at doing earlier on in the season as well. So give me Bucky on the 60-plus tonight. That's really that's the only player prop that I like in this game. I do think that the Bucs defense hasn't been that spectacular as of late. I do think there's a chance ATL can kind of make some things happen in the pass game, but ultimately you can't rely on it. So I couldn't feel comfortable with any receiving props on the Falcons side. And then the stats for Bijan, the odds on Bijan and his rushing, they're not really worth betting. You feel confident in him to reach the mark that he's at, but to go over the 74-yard mark is just it's asking a lot. So I stand away from all Falcons player props tonight. We're on the Bucky Irving. I'm not going to tail the Mike Evans under 3.5 just because as someone who needs the 40 plus, I feel like I'm going against myself. I need something that's going to negate the other thing with that one there. So we're just going to hope the best for you, Philly. Obviously, what I want to happen now is for him to get 50 yards and 3 receptions. That's what we want. That's what we're shooting for. A 45-yard, 3-reception day from Mike Evans here for the Ticket Punchers. What else are we on tonight, Philly? I've got some NBA things that I'm looking at. I wanted to ask you first if you were on any NBA action tonight or if you were maybe looking into some college basketball action tonight. The NBA slate the last 2 nights has been 2 games. We had a 2-game Wednesday. We had a 2-game Tuesday. And it's not necessarily a full slate or anything, but we do have 4 games on tonight with a couple of good teams in action. So I wanted to see where you were at tonight in the NBA before we rounded things off with some college basketball chatter and, of course, our triple punch parlay. We got one more topic we're going to get into, kind of unbetting related. We just got to get into it a bit. But actually, let's do that now, Philly, just because it's kind of worth discussing. What's happening? I mean, Sharon Moore and what happened in Michigan is absolutely insane. And it's I know it's not really necessarily betting content, but I wanted to ask you, because we're starting to see reports now that this was known within some maybe Michigan higher ups for quite some time, maybe some months even. that this has kind of been talked about. Maybe an investigation was maybe going on underneath the scenes. And then they lose to Ohio State. And now some of this comes out here. With how crazy do you hear those fans? It almost makes you wonder if something would have been different if they would go on to beat Ohio State. And I'm not saying like he's not he deserves everything that's happened to him, and it's probably going to deserve what's going to happen going forward as well. But I'm almost just like believing into some of these conspiracies that because that was the final straw was OSU rather than him actually going through all of this. It seemed like there was an attempt to some rug sweeping going on, and then boom, you lose to OSU. That's unacceptable more than anything you've already done, which is absolutely insane. But Sherrone Moore tweaking out yesterday, kind of shaking up the landscape of college football in terms of how people are talking about it right now. And with what Michigan's already gone through, just kind of a bit crazy. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up to you, Philly. Did you see the reports on the Kentucky basketball NIL situation going on with JMI?
No, I haven't heard of that.
So there was an article written from Kentucky Sports Radio and released yesterday, and some details coming out now that apparently JMI, the company that's in charge of all NIL things to do with Kentucky athletics going on right now, at least on the basketball side, was in charge of all NIL things and not allowing any players to bring in any of their own NIL deals and not allowing them to go and find any of their own NIL deals. And apparently that is why they went on to whiff on a bunch of these recruits that they were all in for before they were accumulated this roster. They were not allowing players to go and get their own separate NIL deals outside of the JMI umbrella. And now it's making sense why you've got a whole bunch of overpaid role players on this team. And instead of, Wilkersons like you've got in Indiana and the Caleb Wilsons and all other players that they probably we would have thought, like Darius Acuffs of the world. Granted, that's maybe a Cal thing kind of there going on too. But there's a lot of names that you typically would have thought would have been in at Kentucky this year, and they weren't. And now we're starting to understand why a little bit. And that's a factor that's going to impact them going forward. If you don't let these athletes come and gain what they're able to gain and make the money that they're able to make and say, hey, no, you can't do that. You get this check that we give you and that's it. That will not bode well going forward for recruiting, both in the transfer portal and in the high school ranks, as we've already seen. Maybe losing out on a couple names that were in on Kentucky and then ended up at other places. Now we know why, Philly.
Yeah,
roster full of role players.
A lot of sense.
Yeah, it's overspending on role players because that's the only money that you could give out. It makes sense now. I get it. Just had to give out those quick little points there. We didn't get to chat on any of those things earlier in the Sherrone Moore stuff yesterday and then the other stuff coming out last night after we went off the airwaves. Chatted about it a little bit here now on the Ticket Punchers. We'll ask JR's opinion on those things tomorrow as well. But Philly, we don't have anything coming in on the Game Day Men's Health text line at the moment and nothing yet on the YouTube or X chat. Feel free to send in any questions, comments, concerns, picks that you like for tonight. If you got a parlay, go ahead and send it to us. We'll discuss it. We'll maybe even tell you on it here on the Ticket Punchers. But let's get into tonight's NBA slate, Philly. We've got 4 games in action. Not necessarily good games, but a couple of good teams playing. We don't really take NBA spreads here on this show. Only one small spread, and that's the 2 bad teams in action tonight. But we've got Clippers, Rockets, Celtics, Bucks, Trailblazers, Pelicans, and then the Nuggets, Kings. Definitely a player prop kind of a night for us, Philly, and I'm sure you've maybe already gotten to find a few things if you've gotten to do a dig. Let's start off in this Clippers-Rockets game. Or in this Celtics-Bucks game that we've got at 8:10 p.m. In those 2 games, where are you in the player prop market?
Yeah, so I'm going to be totally honest. This is one of the few days I have yet to do my player prop dig. But, I mean, I did have a team total in that Celtics-Bucks game. So I guess I'll go ahead and drop that real fast. And it was the Bucks team total under 107.5. I saw this at 106 on some books, but I mean, this just ain't the same Bucks team without Giannis. They just struggle to score. Granted, Kevin Porter has gave them a little boost since he's been back, but they're going against the Celtics, who have one of the best defenses in the entire league. They're third in points per game allowed, around 110 points allowed per game. The last 3, it's down to 106 points per game. So I think even at home, this Bucks team just they won't find a lot of scoring scoring today to get over that mark. So yeah, Bucks team total over 107.5.
I like it. I like that mark. They've gone over this mark in their last few games already without Giannis. So, or no, they didn't do that against the 76ers, but they have done that in their last few games. I think scoring 112 on the road in Detroit, a game in which they were not necessarily ever really in it, but they never really fought. They were never out of it either. They kept it right there with a chance for the entirety of it. 32 points from Kevin Porter is obviously going to help you out there. There's one prop that I'm in on tonight for this game. It's a player prop, and it is the Bobby Portis rebounds at 6+. His line's sitting at 6.5 tonight. Actually, I'm sorry. We're on the over 6.5 rebounds for Bobby Portis. He not gone over this in a lot of games, still coming off the bench right now. But with that being said, he's coming off the bench and playing a good amount of minutes. Pretty much their second guy the first guy off the bench playing either the first or second minutes off the bench outside of Gary Trent. He went over this in their last matchup. And in his last 4 games, he's gone over this in 3 of his last 4. So I like Bobby Portis on the 6+ tonight. He's had some games where he's gone over at the 10 mark. He's had some games already where he's reached that 9 mark healthily. So 7 rebounds tonight without Giannis, going up against a Celtics team that has some lineups out there where they're not the tallest. Granted, they are not the big. They're not like all guard lineups, but they'll run 2 or 3 guards, and then they'll run 2 or 3 wing players and 1 big versus, the big power forward or whatever they have on the bench there with that Chieda guy and stuff. But I like the Bobby Portis rebounds tonight in that game. That's the only player prop I had in that game. I don't actually like the Celtics to cover the 9.5, if I'm being honest. I know that they're good defensively, and Jaylen Brown's been on a tear. They're not really missing anybody too important for them tonight in their rotation. But with that being said, they still can have some clunky moments offensively as well, outside of Pritchard and Jaylen Brown. So I don't have a read on that game. Celtics should win. I lean Bucks covering, but you don't bet the Bucks without Giannis. We all know that. Clippers Rockets, I didn't have anything in this one. Clippers have been abysmal. They're not really bettable as a team or really the player props outside of a couple players. There's just no consistency with Harden. There's no consistency with Kawhi being on the floor all that much. He is going up against the Rockets tonight. They're going up against Kevin Durant. I mean, the Rockets should handle business here. I do like Kevin Durant to get to his 25+ mark tonight at -136. That's not an official punch, but I do just lean that as well. Philly, what other official punches do you like here before we get out on the radio side of things?
Yeah, quick one in college basketball. Missouri's team total over 90.5. They've dropped 2 straight games. So they're playing the Alabama State team that's allowed 90+ to all the Power 5 opponents that they played this season. So I like Missouri to bounce back and get at least 91 points tonight.
I love that. Any other official punches in the NBA?
None else in the NBA for me.
All right. That is probably – it sounds like that's going to wrap us up then here. I like the Nuggets to cover the 9.5 on the road. That's going to be my last Big X big bet of the day. Give me the Nuggets -9.5 for my official punch. Last official punch here on the day. This is going to wrap us up, Philly, on the radio side of things. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for listening. If you want to continue to listen to us here, chat for another about 5 to 10 minutes or so, you can find us on the Big X Sports Radio or the Real Spiel Podcast YouTube page. We're also on the Ticket Punchers YouTube page right down there on below, as you can see on the graphic. We're also on the Ticket Punchers X page as well, going live if you want to continue listening. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Philly, let's go punch those tickets tonight.
Punch those tickets.
All right, Philly, we got those officials out. Unfortunately, we didn't get the triple punch out on the air.
That's right.
So I did try to get that one out for us while we were still live currently. Did you have your triple punch parlay piece ready for tonight?
Yes, I do. I'll scramble.
I've got mine ready. It is an alternate play because we like to make the triple punch pieces a bit safer if we can. I'm on the Kevin Durant alternate line tonight. The 23.5, it's 24 plus when his line's sitting at 26.5.5 is where we're at. I like the odds on it. For one, the odds on the 22.5 is just a big jump from 22 and the 23 plus and the 24 plus is a big jump. It's been interesting because they have not made him a primary ball handler without Fred VanVleet. They continue to let Amen Thompson run things. They bring Reeves in off the bench, and he's been great. He's improved from like this point last year. It's night and day difference with Reed Sheppard, but it's already different from what we were seeing in early November, late October at a Reed. So he's one of those weird, like, yes, he's still a liability as an on-ball defender. Outside of that, he's really above average on the basketball floor to everything else, which is kind of crazy to say. I never thought he was going to be a bust or bad or anything, but I thought he was still like a good couple years away from not being a liability on the floor defensively. But the way he plays the passing lanes, the way he guards off ball, he's a pest. It's kind of insane. He's an off ball pest. On ball, there's no drop in that effort. So it's just really a matter of him getting stronger, getting quicker, and getting more in tune with what it is to be a defender on an NBA floor. He's still learning. But with that being said, I still like Kevin Durant. I want to go take a look at some numbers here, though, because I know he had a stretch of games where he was not really meeting that mark, and then he was dealing with a bit of an injury. Yeah, late November he had a 20-point performance on a bad shooting night. He had a 13-point performance, and I think that was just a bad shooting night against Denver. Went on to not play 2 games after that. But since November 26th that he missed that Golden State Warriors game, he's covered his 25-plus in 5 straight games following that November 30th win against the Jazz. Followed that 25 points there, 32, 24. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. 24 points. He's covered the 23.5 mark in 5 straight games, I mean to say. So I kind of have weird luck with these. It's like the Cena Promise on 1 point under what he's done in this many games, and he'll have 23 tonight. It'll be my luck. I shouldn't wish that in the world. I like the Kevin Durant matchup against the Clippers tonight. They don't have anybody that can guard him. There's no Derrick Jones Jr. tonight for the Clippers. Yeah. There's not going to be anybody that can stay in front of him because I think Kevin Durant. I think Kawhi is going to have to guard and Amen Thompson. I don't know if they're going to be able to put Kawhi on Kevin Durant tonight. There's also go ahead.
No, sorry to cut you off. I was saying I feel like KD always has some extra motivation to go up against James Harden there. So yeah,
kind of with the way that things ended in Brooklyn. Yeah. They're friends, they're going to dap each other up with a hug. But it's like, okay, old OKC teammate I didn't win with.
Right.
He was kind of the start of the drama in. There was drama before Harden in Brooklyn, but he was kind of like solidified that the rest of the tenure with them, that big three was going to be drama, even though Harden was the one that was, playing on one leg and doing everything he could. Kyrie, I think, kind of was the issues with what happened in Brooklyn. But, yeah, you're right. We should pull up the Kevin Durant numbers. That's the one thing that's like Kevin Durant averages versus James Harden. It's the kind of thing I typically look up in the morning. But yeah, they're both sitting. Durant averages around 29 points per game against James Harden. Let's see.
His last 5, he's averaging 26 points. So he's going only under that one time. Yeah, all those were with Phoenix, but I mean, he's in the Houston uniform, which Harden played, the most of his career at. Maybe, try to prove something out there. I love that play.
I like it. Yeah. So averaging 27.2 per game, 27.2 points per game against James Harden in his career. Like we mentioned, he's covered the 24 plus in his last 5 games straight. We're on the 23.5 tonight at -172 on my triple punch piece. Philly, what are you rocking with?
Yep. For me, it correlates with Roman's bet or one of his official punches in the NFL, and it's Bucky Irvin, 80 plus rushing and receiving combined. He's hit this 10 of 11 games, going back to last season. The only game he missed it, granted, it was versus this Falcons team, but that was the first game of this season. So he's covered it in every other game. I know,
80.5?
80 plus at -136. So, I think even with a shared backfield, he'll still get the attempts to get this mark. His rushing attempt line is at 16 and a half. I believe he's had 20 or more receiving in every game except one this season. So yeah, Bucky Irvin 80 plus rushing and receiving. That'll be my triple punch piece.
I like that. I'm gonna get that in right now.
You posting it or you
I'm
sending
gonna
it?
I'm gonna place it first.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm gonna place it just
Did
because
JR send his? Oh
we're
no, he
still
didn't.
waiting on the JR piece.
Okay. Yeah.
And Bucky Irving, we're on the player rushing and receiving yard mark at 80 plus. That's an alternate.
It's his regular line. It's actually went down all day. It's right around 82 and a half right now. So I just altered it to 80 plus. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's the first two. And we, of course, don't have JRs yet. Obviously, he's traveling. It's not always able to get things in right on time. But
so can we pivot back to the more stuff real quick?
oh yeah.
Because I don't. So like, is it? I saw something to where, he said he was attempted whatever. He was trying to kill himself according to his wife. But I heard some reports. I don't know if it's true about he had an affair with somebody, and that's who's okay.
Yeah.
So
So
that was true.
the staff member affair.
Yeah,
And
staff member.
it wasn't a one-time thing. There's been rumors that it was a pregnancy that he forced her to abort.
Oh,
Which if that was true, then I believe that's illegal up there already. I don't know.
Hmm.
There's some, so it turns the report is that it starts comes out, he finds out that actually there was a meeting, a coaches staff meeting. All the coaches staff held a meeting without Moore. That's kind of how he knew that he was caught red-handed, tweaked on his I shouldn't say tweaked. Had that all come out at home with his wife, goes crazy,
yeah.
drives to the staffer's house, kind of goes crazy a bit there, with some threats, then drives to like his local church, I believe, before police intercept
That's what
him
I
there
saw.
because
Yeah.
his wife has his location. But it's just kind of insane to me that coaches, high up position people continue like married people. It's not one thing.
Oh yeah.
You can see how people end up in those situations when they're single or not married.
Right.
The married men with families, I'll never understand that.
I know.
And I do know like the college football coach is like one of the few jobs where if something negative is happening, no one around you is hoping for your downfall typically because it reflects badly on everybody. So
yeah.
You never really know how long something was actually going down because people are obviously not trying to lose their job.
Right.
But unacceptable stuff from Sherrone Moore. Gonna get what's coming to him on that one. And just kind of feel bad for his wife and his family that they have to live with that for the rest of their lives now.
Nah, definitely. Who you think some potential coaches that go to?
That's the whole reason I brought it up and forgot to ask you about it. Who do we think ends up in the coaching spot in Michigan now?
Yeah, throw them in the comments, man. Ooh, that's tough shoes to fill if you're going up to Michigan.
If this happens a few weeks ago, does Penn State give him a call?
Yeah. You talking about Franklin? Or
I mean, just when they were looking for a coach, having made the decision to fire their coach without a plan.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't think he'll get a job again with something.
Oh, there's no way.
Happen. He'll maybe like coach high school football in like 10 years from now in some city.
Right.
Not some small city or something like that. But I doubt he'll coach a Power 5 program again. That would very much so surprise me.
Saban's coming back.
Yeah. We still no triple punch piece from JR, unfortunately. Oh, wait, here we go. We got one coming up right now. We're going to get that out to you guys before we get off of this live stream show.
Yeah, he possibly might be traveling back right now because I know he said he'll be on tomorrow. So it's a
Yeah,
possibility.
we've also had some bad luck with the triple punch piece the last few days.
I feel
It
like
started.
I keep selling, dude. Oh man, I need to step it up, y'all. I apologize if y'all telling the triple punch. Philly, I have been letting y'all down.
Well, I
Ananobi,
mean, Mark Williams sold last night too, so
yeah. Well,
he
granted,
sold the.
he
He
would have
sold,
got it if no pending no blowout, but
yeah, true. Because he had 15 points, or what
uh,
did he have?
he
Yeah,
had like
he
50,
had 9 point. He
he
had
had 14 or
9.5
15
rebounds.
total PR. Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking he had like 15 PR total, and was like, geez, he was right there.
yeah,
If they would have played him in the fourth quarter, but
right,
you're not going to play your starters when you're down like that. So it makes sense.
right.
I was the only one that did hit the triple punch. Wait, no, Purdue
It's been
was
hot. I
up.
feel like.
They weren't up 11. They weren't up 12, were
Oh
they?
yeah, my bad. Yeah, Purdue didn't cover, but they ended up so their biggest lead in the first
They
half was
covered.
around. No, they covered the full game, but they was only
Yeah,
up like 3 at halftime. So, which
yeah.
Minnesota they couldn't miss the first the time I watched, like the end of the half, they could not miss. I mean, they hit
I
about
felt bad.
6, 7 threes in the first half. Yeah,
I felt bad watching because I knew, or no, I cut this on at halftime. So I was like, he didn't cover. That sucks. And I continued to watch the start of the second. How quickly they got to like up 15. I was like, oh,
so
goodness.
fast. I think they went on like a
Oh,
20-0 run or something, or
in like the
22
first
run.
3 minutes of the half, I
Dude,
was
it
like,
was
oh
yeah,
my
it was
gosh.
wild.
Like, it's not a bad beat technically because you're way off, but knowing that like in terms of how the vibe went of the
Yeah,
game, it was a bad beat. We were just
yeah,
technically 3 minutes of play off from that
yeah.
the
I mean,
atmosphere of them covering
yeah.
that happened.
I mean, I still took the full game, but I still thought both, would have covered. But I should have known not to double dip and that. But yeah,
I said I liked all three ACC teams to cover yesterday. I only took NC State on the triple punch. They
Notre Dame
covered.
too.
Notre
Yeah.
Dame covered, and of course Boston College. I should
Mm.
have known with the way that their coach was tweeting 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I thought that maybe it was like I overthought that. I was overthinking it.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking, oh, he's not trying to lose his job. He's trying to do whatever he can to get this, everybody to make it seem like he's so as serious as he can be about this and
Mm-hmm.
recruiting and whatever. And that was not the case. As they lose to in-state rival UMass.
Yeah.
Just bad foul at the end of the game, giving up 2 free throws. It's just that's how it works. That's how it works. I don't know if we got the triple punch piece in from JR yet, but we are going to get that tweeted for you guys. We're now reaching close to that 6:15 mark, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. No comments or text in on the Game Day Intel text line. So we'll get back with you guys tomorrow. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for listening. And Philly, let's go punch those tickets.
Go punch him, man.